Because again, I think that the way that they're challenging us to focus and think about what it would be like to see the earth from outside of it is quite profound, actually. Right? Because again, most of us, maybe the closest we'll ever come to that is probably flying in a plane. Right? If one of you ever becomes an astronaut, that will be awesome. Is anybody seeking that out? Really going for it? All right, there's still time to work on that. But what are some of our immediate reactions to that? Is that a fair thing to call our attention to? Is it just, not worth spending our time on because we've already gone too far, we can't reverse anything? Does it really matter what we do in Moscow, Idaho, for those that are living in Japan? Okay. I mean, these are tough questions. What do you all think? Yeah.
Well, it makes me think of being in a spaceship, and I would never want to go to space because space just freaks me out.
Sure.
But if I was in a spaceship, I would always be constantly worried. If one window were to crack in a spaceship, then everybody's gonna die.
Sure.
So I think that's kind of the attitude that I feel like some of them were saying that humans should take on, is that one crack in this window could kill everybody. And,
sure.
I mean, with the Earth, it's gonna not be that prominent.
It's not gonna be that immediate. Right?
Yeah. But.
Good, and I like that metaphor where, and they definitely alluded to it, right? The idea that if the Earth becomes sick, then we become sick. And I think that we hear that from various angles, and whether or not we buy it is a different question. But I think that how they kind of mention that, and I like that metaphor of if you crack a window, we're all kind of getting sucked into space. And so our kind of responsibility to, take care of the ship we're on. Right? Yeah, good. Other thoughts? Yeah, Patty.
I just think that if every one person takes care of their little part, then it spreads.
Okay.
And it helps other people to take care of it, and eventually more people, the majority will. And they've actually done tests and shown that the hole in the ozone is shrinking because of the steps that we have been doing.
Good.
Like getting rid of the CFCs and stuff like
Great. Good. And I mean, currently, right now, I think as we are having this little discussion, there are people over in Paris right now having that giant climate conference, right, to address maybe not specifically the issues that were presented on the screen, but kind of the grand scheme, at least, right? This idea that we've definitely done some damage to the environment, and how can we fix it, right? And what is our new approach? And something that's particularly interesting in there is, I forget who it is that's talking about it, but kind of the shift in view, right? The shift in kind of our conscious outlook, where again, I think we're very much, especially in the West, as they mentioned, kind of conditioned to think of separation. That, oh yeah, we're part of the environment, but it doesn't really matter. Right? Well, as they kind of challenge us to turn that framework a little bit differently, to say, well, no, we're actually part of it. Right? But that is kind of a shift in consciousness almost. Right? Any thoughts to that? I mean, and we talked about this a couple of weeks back when we were talking about Callicott's argument for environmental philosophy, but any reactions on that front? Yeah, Sidney.
I think it's just that from here in our little perspective, everything is so huge. And when they get out there and they see it from a different perspective, that we're just a little dot in the whole universe, and that if we don't kind of cooperate and take care of this little bit, how everything affects everything else, maybe going by everything so fast, they realize, wow, this really, everything is all intertwined.
Sure.
It's not just looking out, window of my house, and worry about this bit right here.
Sure, good. That cherry tree outside is really nice, right? Don't really need to just worry about that tree. Maybe you do, but again, and this is kind of a shift in focus, I think, of saying what we do in Moscow, Idaho, and whether or not we want to buy this. And I mean, let me know if you do buy it. But what we do in Moscow, Idaho, affects Fiji. Right? It seems like a very removed thing to say, but as they're arguing, right, all being one interconnected system, is that right? Saw your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to connect to that because, no matter, where you're from or
Good, good, good.
They pointed that out in the video. Like, these people are from 8 different countries or something like that, and you know, they all saw the difference. You know, they all saw that awe when they saw the hurricane. So we all feel something.
Good, good. And how, you know, if we think about some of the questions that we were asking back, discussing like environmental philosophy, you know, just the question that do we have a duty to future generations? Right? That's a very ethical, environmental ethical question. And of course, you know, kind of from that film, yes, we do have duties to future generations. And what are they? They're to, you know, keep the environment intact for them to be able to enjoy it, right? And taking care and being conscientious of those actions, of those things that we do. Yeah.
One of my favorite quotes actually is from Edgar Mitchell, the astronaut.
Oh, yeah.
Mitchell. He says, from out there, international politics looks so petty. It's basically exactly what they're saying. All they were saying there is that, you know, not a single person who goes out and comes back to Earth said they're not the same. So you realize that, like, wow.
Say that again.
So they're not the same. They realize, like, wow, like, we're all part of this big system.
Sure. Good. Anything from the right side of the room, this quadrant, this, well, not a quadrant, this tri piece? There's only 3 pieces. Quadrant, maybe 4. See over here? Yeah, same.
Reminds me kind of that video we watched on feminism. It wasn't really on feminism. It was that TED Talk video.
Yeah.
And I was like kind of leery of the video at first because I was like, oh, this dude's just going to talk about this and not offer a solution.
Mm-hmm.
But he did, and his solution was just like to bring up when people make like sexist jokes or you know, anti-feminist comments or something, just be like, yeah, it's not funny. And this, like, what they're getting at kind of reminds me of that. Like, if we just all kind of started thinking like, I don't really need the biggest power stroke diesel engine I can find. I'd probably get by, like, or even if I do need it, maybe I could leave it in my driveway today and ride a bike. It doesn't seem like much of an effect, but it kind of has to start somewhere.
Sure. Good. Great. 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 And how kind of that small level can turn into big picture, right? And yeah, what they're calling from, and kind of what I get most from this video is, again, kind of that shift in thinking almost, of being aware that, do I really, you know, if you're walking out your house and you realize that the lights are on, can you go turn them off, right? Just something easy like that. Shorten your shower for a couple of minutes. Just something like that's very small, but at least being conscientious of, right? Is that kind of connected to what you're saying? Yeah, good. Aziz?
I feel like we need to realize that, you know how, like, the way you want, just like what you said, to keep your house clean.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't want to live like in a garbage can or anything like that. So you need to keep your house clean. And so that's the first thing that came to my mind, is like, we need to realize that this world is our house. It's not just where you live in.
Sure.
It's like everyone else. So you need to keep where you live in clean for you to live.
Great. And moreover, to keep kind of the generations after you to be able to thrive and use your place, right? To use your place, your dwelling place. I forget which philosopher talks about a dwelling place, but one of them does. It's a good phrase to key in on. Any last comments? Maybe on this side? Yeah, Josh, and then we'll go up here. Yeah.
I think just kind of realizing that as you like actually look at the whole world as a whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
you realize that every single part really matters. So when these guys go back home and realize that, okay, that I may be a small little part of this world, but we're all connected and we all matter. And if I do one thing, someone can see that and they can do the exact same thing.
Great.
If I take care of my part, they can take care of theirs.
Great. Good. Yeah, wonderful. And I think that just the power that comes with, especially perspectives like that. And I mean, like I said, I think the thing that maybe we'll get closest to is flying over the earth like in an airplane or something. We can kind of have a minute experience with that, but not the exact same kind of gravity of the experience that they had, right? Yeah, good.
Yeah. Oh, it just kind of made me think of Horton Hears Who.
Okay, I haven't seen it. So,
Oh, well,
yeah.
it's about, like, the Horton finds a little speck of dust, and he discovers that there's an entire city on that speck of dust, and, like, people want to destroy it, but he won't let them. And then, like, in the new movie, at the very end, it, like, zooms out, and you discover that, like, that world was also on a speck of dust, and it's floating in a universe of specks of dust. And
Sure.
it's kind of ridiculous to think that our world's on a speck of dust, but in scale with the universe,
Sure.
it is.
Good. If any of you are taking Philosophy 240 next semester, we'll go down that rabbit hole pretty quickly. It'll be pretty fun. Yeah, good. I saw one more hand, I think, over here. No?
I was kind of like relate back to what Josh was saying.
Mhm.
I think it's easy for us to say that, oh yes, I can make a difference, but for a lot of people, that's not going to change unless, like, let's say plastic. Stores stop offering plastic bags. Like, you don't have anything to put your groceries in unless you bring your own bag.
Sure.
You know, or
And some cities have done that.
right.
Yeah.
You know, or like stores stop selling water bottles, you know, plastic water
Mhm.
bottles, and you have to use reusable ones. So it's easy for us to say, like, yes, I can make a difference, but unless places start, you know, outlawing or stop offering those options, people are going to do what's most reliable and what's most convenient.
What's most convenient? Yeah, good. And I think that that's kind of one of the challenges, right? Is that, yeah, that that we're very accustomed to living the lifestyle that we like, and to change that at all takes work, right? And I mean, I think the first step is being aware and kind of having, again, that conscientiousness and kind of that shift in framework a little bit. Yeah, it's not easy, right? Yeah, Carly.
It seems so trivial, like, when we think about the earth, the world, and then we think about our problems, we're like, oh, like, the world is so huge. And granted, we can't go around and see it for ourselves, but if we can, like, put ourselves in the spaceship and be like, oh, yeah, the world is so huge, it makes our problems, like
very minute,
very
right?
minute.
Sure.
I don't think we necessarily need to be in a spaceship.
Sure. Good. And I mean, and that's not to take away that, you know, what happens in our own lives is, you know, matters, and we have to take care of those things or anything like that, right? We're not saying that, but we're just saying on a global scale, right? That there are perhaps bigger issues than what you're going to have for breakfast in the morning. Is that fair? All right. Cool. All right. One more comment. Yeah. All right. We'll go two. Okay.
I just have a question.
Sure.
So I've been in the point where I've talked, like, I really care about the environment.
Mhm.
So I've tried to talk to my family and stuff like that and say, you know, these things are wrong to do or whatever. Like, why is it so hard for people to agree with what's going on
Sure. So
in our environment and to like agree with global warming and stuff like that? Like, why is it so hard for them to just say, yes, this is happening?
sure. So I think that question, there's a multitude of reasons for it, but I can relate for what
They
it's
just
worth.
like
Right.
have their strict beliefs and they won't believe anything.
So it kind of relates back to the first part of the semester when we were talking about epistemology. Right? And I think in my Philosophy 201 class next semester, we'll spend some time on epistemology and looking at the differences between beliefs and knowledge and certainty and understanding, kind of all of these different avenues of what it is we think we know. And your question in particular, I think, is a good one, because what it does is it points out this kind of disconnect where we like our beliefs, right? We like believing what it is we believe for a variety of reasons, right? That it's a secure thing, it makes us feel good, and oftentimes we have good reason for our beliefs. But I think your question is a good philosophical question, because it's one that says, well, what if you're presented where your beliefs are wrong, right? And similarly, climate change and global warming is a great representation of this disconnect, because there is facts, there is science that tells knowledge, right? It tells truth about a particular thing. But if it threatens beliefs, it's really tough to change beliefs, right? What's that?
I said it's very tough.
Right, it's very tough. But I think that over time, and as things become more aware and kind of more in the sphere of conversation, as Sammy was kind of pointing out, perhaps again this shift does take place, even as small or as slow as it maybe is seeming. And I think I mentioned at least in one class today about my parents, that our views are very different about a lot of different things. And we had similar conversations over Thanksgiving about that as well.
I can relate to that as well.
Sure, yeah, good. One more hand? Yeah.
Adding on to what she said, I think people don't want her to accept it because the environmental option is almost always more expensive in the short run.
Sure. So
you would have to sacrifice to do that.
great. Yeah.